I'm George Pearson, and these are just a few examples from some of the training videos I have here on YouTube. Now, when you're working with the training, following along the training, if you want to get the materials I used in the training, just go to the description down below and click on the link that's at the top of the description, and this will take you to a page where you can download the materials. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. In this Photoshop Elements training video, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. We're going to take this picture, this cute little dog on the wrong side of the screen, as you can see here. We're going to combine this with this picture over here. There we go, it's a nice little bird on the seashore. And we're going to be ending up with this, with the bird and the dog looking at each other on a nice sandy area. Pretty straightforward stuff. We'll be using layer masks and some masking techniques. I'm doing this inside of Photoshop Elements version 13, so PSE 13. And I'll be using the Refine Edge for part of this. If you're working with an earlier version of Photoshop Elements and you don't have that Refine Edge tool, you can still do the exact same process. It just will take you a little bit longer to carefully mask out the figures. I'm just using that just as a shortcut. We're also going to be using a content-aware fill for part of this, for a background layer. And again, you can do the same thing with just using the stamp tool, the clone stamp tool. All right, let's go ahead and get started on this project. Now, I began with, as you saw here, these two pictures. There's this picture of the bird and this picture over here of the dog. I'll start off with this dog picture, and it's too large. So I'm going to first do a save. Let's do a file, save as, so that I don't lose my original image. I'm just going to call this one dog-bird. There we go. Dog-bird, Photoshop file. And so you can see the save button. There it is. Okay, that's saved. I'm now going to just resize this a bit for this video. This is a real large image, and I want to make it a little bit smaller for use for this recording. So let's go up here to Image and resize image size. See, it's at 6,000 pixels and it's 69 megs. It's a bit too large for what I want to be doing here. So I'm just going to bring us down to 2,000. Much more workable, manageable image for these online videos. It's still a really large size print, but that's a much better size for us. Okay, and let's just zoom in a little bit here. There we go. You'll be seeing that I'll be using the menus as much as I can to show you what I'm doing, so it's easy to follow along. I'll be trying to stay away from keyboard shortcuts as much as possible so you can actually see what I'm choosing. But whenever I'm doing anything up in here, you can always see the keyboard shortcut on the right hand side if you want to use your keyboard shortcuts. Okay, let me just undock that again. I docked that by accident. There we go. Let's go over here to our bird now and do the same thing. Let's take a look at the bird. I only need to copy this out of this file. I don't need to actually change this file permanently, so I'll just leave that there. Let's take a look at our size. This is 4,000. Again, I'll bring it down just to 2,000, get me a little bit closer to what I need to start. We'll resize inside of the other file over here. So here's our bird. Let's zoom in. I'll use the zoom tool this time. And I want to zoom in nice and close on the bird. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to clip the bird out of this image and then place that over into our other picture. All right, I'm just going to open it up enough so that we get the whole bird in the screen. There we go. I want to get that shadow as well. Okay, that's the far left-hand side of the picture. So let's now come in here. I'm going to make a selection of this and copy this and then paste this over here into the other file. I'm going to use the lasso tool and we'll come in fairly close here, not real close, but fairly close to the bird, and just make a copy here of the bird. And I want to get that shadow as well. We'll clean this up over in the other file. This will just allow me to get the bird over there. And it's coming kind of like that. That's pretty good. I'll come in closer again once we get over there. There we go. We can go ahead now and copy this. So edit, copy, and I'll minimize that file. Over here now, and then edit, paste, gives us a new layer and our bird on that new layer. So there we go. So that takes care of getting the bird over here to this file. We now can, so go back to our photo bin, and I can close down this file and that file. These are no longer needed. Just close those out. I'm not going to bother saving the changes there. This is just my sample. We're rebuilding that, so we don't need to have that one any longer. There we go. Okay, down to just the one file. There's the bird, there's the dog. Now the bird's too large. I want to resize the bird. So just click on the bird, get your control handles in here, hold the, actually I'm just going to pull in the corner here, and let's get the bird down to about the right size. I want him about the same height. If I put the feet on the same line, I want the eyes to be about the same level. So he'll end up being just a little bit shorter than the dog, but there we go. Feet are on the same line, eyes are on the same line. That way they're going to be looking at each other. We're finished. Okay, there's a size. Click OK. So far so good. Now I want the bird facing the other direction, so we want to flip this image. Let's go up here to Image and Rotate, and we're working with our layers, which are down here. I want to flip the layer horizontally. There we go. Okay, the bird's flipped. Let's just get him over here. At this point, I'm just basically resizing my images, kind of getting them in our basic position. I'll be doing more work on that in just a little bit. Okay, so there's our bird, kind of positioned correctly, kind of sized correctly. Okay, now hide that layer. Let's go to our background layer. Now I'm going to be doing some changes on this layer, so I want to make a copy. Take the background layer, drag it up to the new layer button, make a copy of that and hide that. I can now name this one Bird. There we go. Let's come down here. I'm going to name this one Ground. Could call it Background, but I already have a background, so I'll just name it Ground. And then we're going to make a copy of the dog and pull the dog out of this image. So let's zoom in a bit here so you can see our dog a bit better. That's too large. Just back out a touch. All right, back to the lasso tool. And let's just come around here, around this dog, and around the shadow as well, which goes clear off the screen. There we go. We'll need to fix that shadow edge, one of our little touches. Okay, there's the dog. Let's make a new layer of this dog. So layer, new, and I want via copy. Gives me a new layer right there. Let me just name this one Dog. So bird layer, dog layer, and ground layer. Let's hide the dog layer. Come back to our ground layer, and I'm going to reselect this. So select, and actually it dropped my selection. No problem. Let's just make a new selection. Just come in here, just kind of roughly around the dog. We don't want to be too close on this. You don't want to be too far away. Just kind of roughly around the dog here. We can fix any little problems with the clone stamp tool in just a second. So on this pass, we are getting rid of the dog and leaving us a clean background. So there's the dog. We want to fill this selection now. Now if you're using the clone stamp tool, just go over here and grab areas that match, like some of this and paste it in here, some of that, paste it in here, that kind of thing. Just kind of work back and forth. Work horizontally for best effect. And then if you have a version here of Photoshop Elements that has the fill selection option, we'll do it the easy way. And that's using the content aware. Again, if you don't have this, you can just use the clone stamp tool. It does the same thing. This just does clone stamping, but it lets Photoshop Elements figure it out for us. And there we go. Dog is now gone. Okay, let's deselect that. Now, it messed up a bit here. We're going to hide most of that with the bird. But I'll come in and I'm just going to do just a little bit of clone stamp just to clean that up. Let's take our clone stamp here. Okay, the brush is too large, so let's move that over. And I'll raise it up a little bit so you can see our panel down below. Okay, bring that size down. It's like around 200 or so. That's pretty good. Okay, let's bring it down. I'm just going to take some of the sand down here, Alt and click. That's my clone start point, and then I'm just going to paste that in a little bit. We're a bit soft on that, so I'm going to choose a hard brush. There's 19. I'm going to set this back to 200, so it's about the same size. Same thing, Alt click, and then I'm just going to tap up in here. Gets that edge, and I need to soften those edges down. So let's go over here to this tool here, the blur tool, and I'll bring the size up a bit on that blur tool. That's pretty good. And I can use this just to kind of soften that edge up a little bit there. The bird's going to be in front of that, so it's really going to disappear anyway, but this just kind of helps that effect. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm not going to worry about that. The bird's going to be right on top of that, so that's going to hide that. Now there's a little bit of sky right here that didn't match exactly. So I think I'll just do a little bit of clone stamping on that. Let's go back to a soft brush. And again, I'll put this at about 150, I think, this time. You just kind of do it visually, whatever looks like it's going to work out for you. So hold the Alt key down, click, and it's going to tap it right there and tap it right there. A couple of taps that just hides a little bit of a line that was showing there. Just makes it a little bit more difficult to see. Okay, I think that's pretty good. You can now Alt and back out a little bit on that. And come in. There's, I think that's pretty close. A little too large here for the screen. That works. Let's show our bird again. There's the bird. So the bird's going to be over in here somewhere. You see how the bird hides that problem area? I just kind of cleaned it up just to make sure that there's nothing really showing. So the bird will be in here someplace. Okay, so there's our basic bird position. Let's bring our dog back up and move the dog over here. Now I want to position the dog exactly where I want it. It's about right there. I think I'll pull the bird down a little bit. Just kind of try to visualize where the dog is looking. So if their feet are about lined up, that's fine. So that's good. Now we can get into cleaning up the edges in here on these two objects. So I'll start off with our bird. Take the magnifying glass and let's zoom in a bit on this. And let's hide that background. There we go. Hide the dog as well. Expand our window a little bit so I can see the whole bird. There we go. And I'll grab my lasso tool again. I'm going to make a new selection. This time I'll be a lot more critical. I want to keep my selection inside of my area here. I'm just kind of coming down the middle of my rough selection. And I'll just go clear around the whole bird figure and out around the shadow as well. Just making a new selection. Now I could have come in here and done this careful selection previously, but I always like to just quickly get things into a point where I can see how they're looking first to see if I like the look. So I just do real rough selections first, and then I come back and I refine those selections. Now we'll be using the Refine Edge on this to clean this edge up. If you don't have the Refine Edge tool, you just come in here and just make a real close, as perfect as you can selection using regular selection tools to get rid of that background edge. However you get rid of that doesn't really matter. The Refine Edge just makes it a bit easier. Okay, there's my selection. Let's now go up here to Select and Refine Edge, and there it is. Now there are different tools you can use. You can use the Marching Ants view if you want to. You can use the Overlay view. It's on black, on white, black and white layers and so forth. I kind of like the red view. Now I'm going to start off with using this tool here, the Refine Radius tool, and I'm going to be painting right over the edge, right along the edge in here of the figure. like that. And then the Refine Edge tool looks for the edge that I'm next to. So it tries to find where that edge is, and it tightens up and cleans up that selection. Now, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to have to come in here and redo a little bit on this. I'll have to fix that manually. That's okay. So again, yeah, this isn't a perfect tool, but it's really nice at doing this kind of stuff. It will save you a lot of work and a lot of time. I much prefer doing a little bit of cleanup to a lot of hard work. And we'll do the cleanup on a layer mask. We'll look at that in just a moment here. Because we're just kind of following right along the edge. Notice how the circle is overlapping the edge of the bird's feathers there. And then the tool goes in and looks for the areas of contrast where the differences are, and then it resets that selection at that edge. Obviously, the more contrast you have on that edge, the better this technique is going to work for you. Just about finished. Okay, pretty good. It messed up here. It messed up right there. It messed up in here a little bit. He didn't get that at all. Kind of messed up on the toes. But we can fix all that. So let's go back here to our tool, and we'll output to a new layer with layer mask. And choose OK. The reason why I do a new layer is that I can always then go back to my original layer and try it again if it's kind of messed up. Now, we have our image right here and then our layer mask here. Notice how everything that's clear is in black. Everything we see is in white. That shows you how this works. White is show, black is hide. And if you click on the layer mask, notice the cyan outline around that. So the layer mask is now selected. I can now come in here and paint with white to show more of the bird, and paint with black to hide the bird. So put our color on black, go to our paintbrush, and I want to choose kind of a nice size brush. It's a little too small, but I want a hard edge brush for this. This has it just a bit. That's pretty good. Again, black hides and white shows. So I'll start in here, and I'm just going to paint out that. You can see how by painting black on the mask, I am now hiding that area. And that's all that the Refine Edge tool did when we saved it to a mask, is it built a mask for us. Let's switch our colors to white. And if I paint still on the mask in here, notice I can show that bit of the bird back again because I am letting it show through by painting white. I know there's a bit of feathers right there. I'm going to do a little bit of hand work up on that to get that exactly right. So it was a little transparent up there. And it looks pretty good back in here. Little thin right along that edge. And a little thin on the nose. Let's bring our brush size down a bit. Okay, and let's bring that nose back out again. Now I'll need to come back and do a little bit with the other tools. Well, you can see there's a little bit of background showing through there. We can clean that up. Again, zoom in. And then using the different colors in here, again, black hides, so I'll go to black. And I can then come in here and paint it on the mask on the black side. So it's a process of just going back and forth and cleaning up the mask. And let's kind of take it in there and trim around here. Now I spent a lot longer on this to do a really perfect job, but there's really no need to for this video. So you see the technique. Now we're going to be going over the dog using the exact same technique on the dog. And I'll do most of that dog off camera. We'll go ahead and see how that works. A bit of bird head right there, it looks like. There we go. And reverse and paint out a little bit. Okay, so what that does is it gives us a real nice clean outline. I'll leave the rest of the bird for later. Let's go ahead and work on finishing off the image here. Just back up a bit. Let's bring our background back in again. There's the bird on the background. Blends in nicely. I'll probably reposition the bird a little bit here. I just don't want that tail to be too much in line with that bit of a hill back there. So I think down a little bit looks good. Okay, bird position is good. Bring our dog back in again. There's the dog. Same trick on the dog layer. So we're going to zoom in on the dog. See how close I can get. Get the whole thing showing. That would be nice. Can't quite get the whole dog in the window. Well, maybe, there we go, just barely fits. Okay, so there's the dog. I'm going to hide the background again so you can see our dog. And same exact technique that we use with the bird, and that's to start off with the lasso tool and come and make a tighter selection. Now again, this is the point where if you don't have the refine edge, just use whatever tool you have to come in and make a real careful selection around that dog, and everything will be good. Okay, we'll do this a bit quicker this time since we've already seen the technique. Now I don't need to talk about the refine edge technique anymore. We've already seen how that works, and it's really nice for parts of this, like the hair in there. It's great for doing that. There's our selection. Select, refine edge. There's a refine edge, and then just come in here and paint right over that edge and let Photoshop figure out exactly where that edge is. You're just kind of keying it in. You're saying, this is where I want you to look. I want you to be careful in this area, and it will do that for us. It's a real nice clean job, as you can see here, to mask that dog out. Now again, just like on the bird, I'll have to go back in and do some careful adjustments on the edge. I'm not going to do that in this video though. We'll just go ahead and wrap this up here quickly. But the first pass on this will be good enough. Okay, just move over a bit and finish off this edge. There we go. Maybe a little bit right in there. Okay, dog looks pretty good. Same thing. I want to output new layer with layer mask. That way I can always go back to my original. That looks good. We're okay. Let's go ahead and zoom out a bit here. Hold the Alt key down, zoom out. Show our background again. There's the background. And at this point we're basically done with this picture, aside from a little bit of fussing around with it, just a little bit of cleanup. So like, it's kind of an edge right there. I want to get rid of that edge. Make it look a little more natural. And I can do that with the clone stamp tool. Just take a bit of this and put it over there. Now when you're clone stamping like this, notice I'm clone stamping from the background layer onto this dog layer up here. So it's, I can do it that way. Or I can paint on the mask and mask some of this out with the black. A couple of different ways of doing that. So we'll just use the mask technique. That's fast and easy. So I can just come in here and just kind of round this out a little bit. There we go. Take the blur tool, soften up the edge of that mask a little bit in there. Okay, there we are. Let's go ahead and actually, I'm just going to fit here, view, fit on screen, and there it is. There is the dog with bird. A little better fit. There we go, dog with bird. And the whole trick here, of course, is to simply find pictures that have very similar backgrounds to them, making it easy to match. And the same lighting, let's see, these are both lit now on the left-hand side. One of the reasons I flipped the bird was that the bird's lighting was backwards. By flipping the bird, the shadows are both on the same side, as you can see there. So that makes that look more naturalistic. At this point, then it's just a matter of just little tweaks, making sure that my edge selection is real nice and clean on that mat. Same thing over here to finish off the picture. The last thing you may want to do down here, notice that this shadow is a lot darker than that shadow. We can thin that out. And that's right up here. That's on the bird mask. This is in white. So if I come in with a light gray, you can paint gray in here as well. A light gray will make a bit of a transparency on that. We can come in and we can actually do that. Grab our paintbrush. Let's go to our color here. I'm going to bring in kind of mid-tone gray. There we are. Bring the opacity down on the mat, and my brush is too small. Bring it up a little bit. That's pretty good. Now let's kind of paint over that. There we go. One stroke is all it took. And that makes that match pretty closely. I just chose a mid-tone gray, and I brought my values down on that to about 50% on the opacity. So 50 and 50. And there we go. There is the bird dog. Let's go ahead and back that out one step. Bird staring at dog on a fun beach. And thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this training video.